Welcome to By All Means Necessary Real Recovery Talk. My name is Marco Murillo, and I'm a grateful recovering addict. Today is we have episode 12. We have a special guest in the studio, Devin. How you doing, Devin?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for coming in. It's good to see you.
Yeah.
Devin has 4 months clean.
Yes, indeed.
That's a miracle.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it truly is.
We met at Crossroads Club,
Mm.
and you worked there.
Yeah.
And I just approached you and asked you if you wanted to come on the podcast, and you're a little skeptical, but we made it.
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah. I'm
So
a little nervous, but
no, we'll do this, or it's going to be great.
yeah.
It's going to be great. All right, so let's get into it. Where were you born? Where are you from?
I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
Should I just go into it?
Yeah, go ahead. You're born in Columbus, yeah.
Yeah, I was born in Columbus.
And your parents?
I was raised by my mom, single mom.
So your parents were divorced.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
My dad left when I was about 1 or 2, and it affected me a lot. My mom said when I was a baby I would cry, and I was more connected with him, I guess, than I was her. So that sucked. And then went to school. I was bullied. I was a weird kid. I was undiagnosed ADHD.
Okay.
So I was just strange.
Mm-hmm.
And it was I would have friends, but they weren't. It was I just always knew I was different from them. And so it was the kind of friends who would they would make fun of you, but then be like, "Oh, it's just a joke. I'm just joking."
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Right.
So that affected my self-esteem. People would call me stupid and weird all the time. And it gave me really bad self-esteem. And my mom was she had really bad depression growing up, and so she spent a lot of her time alone, so I spent a lot of my time alone.
Okay, so you were going through all this with kids in your school, and you basically were alone going through all these mixed emotions and feelings and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Emotions, in my house were not welcomed. Unless you were, happy, it was we don't talk about things. We don't deal with things, because that's how my mom was raised, and so it was that's just how it was. She kind of discouraged any type of if I had an outburst of anger or sadness, she was very quick to shut that up. Can I cuss?
Okay.
No.
And what so when you were about 5, 6, or 7, what happened then when you were a kid?
Oh, right. I had a babysitter who had 3 daughters, and one of the girls had me dress up as a boy.
Okay.
And engage in sexual acts, which was something I didn't want to do, but I felt like I had to do.
Right.
Because I just wanted people to like me. And that went on for a couple weeks or so. I can't exactly remember how long, but it really affected me. It made me feel people only see me as this object, and it kind of just kept happening to me as I got older with other people. And I remember I have this moment where my mom came to pick me up, and I wanted to tell her so bad what was going on, and but I just couldn't.
Right.
Because, well, one, the girl had threatened to hit me if I said anything, but then I remember seeing how like depressed my mom was,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't want to. I just didn't want to upset her, really.
Right.
I was just kind of like, all my problems were like, okay, like I need to just like deal with this on my own. Like, I don't want to put any more stress on her. Like, I didn't want her to like. I also thought she'd be mad at me, I guess, which was
Right.
like weird because I like, why would she be mad? But like, that's just like how it was. It was like any type of, like I said, any type of negative emotion, like, was just met with like no empathy. Like, it was like frowned upon.
Right. That's tough.
Yeah.
That's so tough.
Yeah.
So you're basically dealing like with all these emotions and all the traumatic events that happened to you,
Oh yeah.
and you're not even telling her about it.
Oh yeah. Many times.
So this was like So you were saying that you were telling me before that your first addiction was
Oh yeah.
self-harm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how old were you when that started?
I was about 10.
Okay.
When I started self-harming, I don't even know how I found out about it, but like it was like the first time I self-harmed. I was like alone in my room, and I like used a one of those like push pins that you like use to put shit on the wall, and like I just remember feeling like complete like euphoria of like, it was like I found this thing that was like, okay, like I can be okay with life, and I can deal with like my emotion. Like I don't have to be, negative. And then for a period of time, I was able to like live like that and just be like, I'll just cut myself. And then, it was painful, obviously.
Right.
But like, not but I think it was mentally, it kind of numbed out the negative emotions that I didn't want to feel, because my life sucked. My mom didn't pay attention to me. I was like alone all the time, and like I didn't really have anybody I could go to about anything. So it was like, really, I kind of latched on to self-harm as like it was like my first addiction, really. Like, it was like this thing where I can't let this go.
Right.
And
you're
until she what? Until she like found out about it.
Okay.
Obviously.
Yeah. And what was that like? What did she do?
She was upset. At first she was upset because she found out from one of my friend's moms. So she was kind of just like, well, why would she know before I know? And like, now I look like a bad parent and all this stuff. And I was just like, oh, I'm sorry. And then she took me to Ulta, and was like, we were like trying to buy makeup to cover it up. And she lifted my sleeve and saw that I had like new cuts that were infected. And she just like started crying in the store, and she was so mad. She was so mad at me. And I don't even think we ended up buying the makeup. I think we just like went straight home, and like, she didn't want it to get infected, obviously. So she like dumped alcohol on my arm, and it hurt. And she was just like, like, this is why you shouldn't do this. Like, it can, like, you can die, and like, why would you do this? And just like, no, like,
compassion.
no, like, are you okay?
Yeah,
like,
of course.
What's going on? Like, why do you feel like you have to do this? Like, I think I get she was probably just like scared.
Yeah.
But like, she just like didn't understand. She just like couldn't fathom, like, why would you do that to yourself?
It seems like she was like emotionless.
Yeah.
To you.
Yeah.
To like what you're going through, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
She couldn't deal with her own emotions. So how could she help you out? So you said you had mentioned that lasted for a certain period of time, and then what happened? You're in high school now?
Oh, yeah. So, like, 15, went to
What?
high school. I was struggling, I guess before, like, in middle school, I started struggling with my sexuality. I didn't really understand, like, I was like, oh, I think I like girls, and it was, but it was, like, one of those things, I was like, oh, my mom cannot find out about this. Like, it just wouldn't be good.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got to high school, I was still struggling with that, but I was like, it was like at school, I was able to kind of be who I wanted to be. And then, at home, I had to, like, kind of switch it up and be, like, a different person. And, like, in school, people are getting into, like, alcohol and weed and all this other stuff. And so, obviously, I started engaging in those things.
So you started drinking and started smoking weed in high school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Big time. It's kind of my personality. Just like, we're a bunch of stoners, and it's just like what we do, and like we drink on the weekends, and like we like to party. Like, it's great. But I remember the first time I drank alcohol, like, it was like I felt like blissful, like a bliss.
Right.
Just like, whoa, this feels awesome.
Yeah.
This feels great. Like, I wish I could feel like this all the time.
Yeah, of course.
And kind of like same with weed. Like, I was like, oh, I love weed. It's great, And I just kind of did that all through high school.
Okay.
I dated a lot of people in high school. I cheated on everyone.
Oh, so you're like a compulsive cheater.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I needed, like, constant validation from
Okay.
people. 'Cause I never felt validated at home. Like, it was, like I said, just, like, lonely,
Mhm.
Even when my sister was born, it was just, like, we were both alone, I guess, at that point. And, it sucks that, like, I was that way, because I probably hurt a lot of people. Gotta make a lot of amends.
Yeah.
But,
You
like,
have a long time to do that.
yeah.
You don't have to rush on that.
Yeah.
So you graduate high school, right?
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
what happens there?
yeah, yeah. So, I went to college.
And
Which
you're still drinking and smoking weed.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's my thing. But after a while, it kind of, the magic of it kind of wore off.
Like the
I
cutting.
guess. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I would still cut here and there when it was like, in moments of desperation, I guess. Got to college, and which I didn't really want to go. My mom, like, wanted me to go, so I ended up going. And I started, like, getting on Tinder and, like, being, like, young and, like, cute or whatever. And I met this girl on there who ended up, like, coming and meeting me at my school. She, like, came and picked me up for like a date or something like that. And she told me she was a drug dealer. I was like, oh.
By chance, you meet a drug dealer. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, just literally.
Yeah.
Which is amazing to me how that.
Yeah. How'd that work out?
It was great. It was great. Thus started the craziness of, like, that relationship, which was very toxic.
But this is when you started using cocaine. Is that when?
Yeah.
So what happened? What happened there?
So she was a drug dealer, so we would drink and smoke together all the time. And then I remember one day she asked me if I wanted to do cocaine, and I was like, yeah. It was something I always wanted to try. And she had done it before, so I was like, yeah, totally. And we did it, and it was like...
Yeah, what'd you feel the first time?
I literally had the thought of, like, I think I'm gonna do this forever. Like, I feel like I have to. Not even, like, in a... I had no thoughts of, like, this is so dangerous, and I could die, and I was just like, oh, I have to do this forever, obviously. And it was like I felt content and like calm, and like I could be like who I am, like comfortably, because I was so uncomfortable in my own skin. Like my body never felt like my own, I guess, because of like all the like, sexual trauma, and I always felt like people saw me as an object.
Right.
And so I kind of did that to myself in a way when I got older, but so then I got addicted to cocaine. And she was an addict too, but I was in denial about it. And then eventually I flunked out of college because my mental health got really bad. I literally couldn't function like without drugs, and it was just like bad. I was like mixing like coke with Xanax and cocaine or it's called ketamine and like alcohol, and
that's like a deadly
weed.
combination.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I had a couple moments where I thought I literally was like, oh, I think I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
But then it was fine like minutes later, and I was like, oh, we're cool. We can keep doing this.
So were you hospitalized at this point at all, or
Yeah.
for what?
I went to mental hospital for really bad suicidal ideation.
Okay.
I was like, I wanted to like drown myself, and it was like, I guess I didn't technically have a plan, but I just was like, there was like a pool where I lived, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna drown myself in the pool, or whatever. And so I was hospitalized. And that was the first time I was hospitalized, and they told me that I was addicted to cocaine, and I was like, no. I was also diagnosed bipolar, so it was fitting. After that, I was put on a lot of meds. I think I was put on like mood stabilizers and 30 milligram Adderall.
Wow.
Which was really cool for me because I worked in retail, so I became just like I was a boss at retail. I was so good at my job. It was kind of like a joke there, like, oh, like, Devin, did you take your meds today? And I was like, yes, I did. Like, I was like great at my job.
How long did that last for?
That was like, I worked at that job for like 3 years. But I think, like, that relationship lasted about a year.
Okay.
Me using and with her, and, like, the back and forth. And, like, she ended up breaking up with me, and she had, like, cheated on me. And it was the whole thing. I tried to go back to school, and I dropped out many times. For, like, my mental health, it just was like, oh, I'm good, and then I'm not. And I'm good, and then I'm not. And I ended up going to the hospital again.
For what?
I feel like, like a major depression. Okay. And also probably suicidal ideation again. I was just acting crazy. I just like, it was as if like I was like numbing my emotions and pushing them down for so long that like my brain couldn't handle it anymore. And it was like just all exploding at once. Yeah. I was like 19, I think, 19 or 20 at the time. And that was a really hard time for me. 'Cause I felt like such a disappointment. I felt like a burden on my mom, especially like financially, emotionally. I just couldn't live with myself. But after that relationship ended, I was by myself. I started sleeping with people, like random people, and I had a couple relationships, and one of the relationships had ended actually earlier this year.
Okay.
And so I went back. I met this drug dealer of maybe like a year or so ago. And like we had done coke together a few times, and I don't know, I hit him up. I was like,
Out of the blue?
yeah,
Okay.
literally out of the blue. I was like, hey,
Yeah.
do you have any snow? I don't know. And he's like, yeah, man, like for sure. So now I'm just, I was like, I'm a free person. I have a car. I have a job. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I wasn't in a relationship anymore. I was super depressed. It was like the peak of my mental illness.
Okay.
Like I cannot deal with myself. I can't be in my skin. It was so uncomfortable.
Are you still using psych meds at this point as well too?
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a crazy.
Yeah, I have to.
Okay. I mean, at the time when you called the drug dealer, you're still using psych meds then?
Oh no.
Okay.
No.
All right.
I just like stopped taking them.
You just stopped. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I got taken off the Adderall when I went to the hospital a second time. Rightfully so.
So you get in with this drug dealer and you start doing coke, and then what's that like? What happens?
I ended up. I was on Adderall again, and it was like a very quick decline. I was like at first like I'm only gonna use on the weekends, and then it turned into okay, like I can't drive without it, but it's fine. I can't shower without it. I can't function. I stopped eating. I was up for days at a time. Started seeing shadow people.
Yeah, what are shadow people?
Well, in my experience, it was like I would see a person in the corner of my eye, and then I would look, and they weren't there. I was like, okay. So at first I'm like, oh, maybe it's a ghost. I don't know. I believe in ghosts.
Okay.
Sure. Then it kind of turned into like, just like it seems like someone walks literally right in front of you, but there's no one there.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and like I had some auditory hallucinations. It was great. It was not great, but like that was like 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that just sucked, and like all my friends were getting worried about me, and I just was like, I don't care. I can't like. And I remember my ex-girlfriend at the time, she like asked me like, so when do you think you're gonna like stop doing this? And I was like, I'll stop one day. I don't know when, but not anytime soon. Definitely not anytime soon. I couldn't function. Like, my room was a mess. I was a mess. I was like starving myself, and
what happened?
it just like sucked. I got suicidal. I got mad suicidal.
Really?
Oh yeah. I couldn't go to work anymore. Like, and I loved my job. I worked at medical marijuana.
Okay.
Which is,
It's a great job.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it.
So you couldn't actually work anymore, even using it?
No, I couldn't. I felt it was like every time I drove to work, which was like a 20-minute drive, I would like on the highway, there was like this ramp where like you turn, and every single day I would think like I could just swerve my car off here. Yeah. I would just be dead. Like, I was like, I would rather be dead. I hate myself so much, and I wanted to stop so bad.
No, I feel you.
And that was when I had the kind of like, maybe I am a drug addict,
Yeah.
So, which was cool. And I just remember I was sitting in my car one day, and this was after my ex had, she had helped me kind of orchestrate, going to rehab, because I was kind of like, should I go? Should I not go? And she ended up calling somebody, like a hotline or something, and got into contact with these people,
Mm-hmm.
and I ended up kind of like chatting back and forth with a couple different people from different treatment centers, like in Florida and New Jersey. And so I remember I was like sitting in my car, like I had my razor, and I'm just like weeping.
You had a razor
Yeah, I always kept a razor.
for.
Cause well, I would use it for my Coke in my car. I
Okay,
had like
gotcha.
a little, I
Okay.
had like a little,
All right, you don't use a credit card, use a razor. All
Oh
right,
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
All
I was
right.
fucking.
Yeah.
I was professional out here.
Okay.
And
So you had a razor in your car.
Yeah, I had a razor. I'm weeping, crying. It's like uncontrollable. I can't stop. This guy from the treatment center that I ended up going to,
Okay.
called me.
Just called you out of the blue
Yeah.
at this particular moment.
Yeah, at this particular moment.
That's crazy.
And I'm like sitting here with the razor, and I'm like, oh my God. And I remember feeling like this presence, like a higher power kind of presence of like, I remember wishing like, please somebody like stop me. I do not want to do this. Like, I don't want to die, but like also I really want to die.
Yeah.
I just like felt stuck, and like he calls me and is like, so, what did he say? He was like, would you rather be like, I forget what he said, but like, do you really want to be miserable, like crying in your car right now?
Right.
Or would you rather just like, cry somewhere else? Why are you crying in your car? What are you doing? Like, made me feel kind of silly.
Okay.
He like talked me off the edge. It was really, it was really comforting, and I felt like at the time I probably didn't realize it, but now I'm kind of like, that was a higher power.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Literally. Like, because I truly feel like I would have killed myself. I just like couldn't go on.
And see, it's interesting because people don't understand how we as addicts in active addiction just can't stop. Normal people.
Yeah.
Okay, normal people.
Yeah.
Let me preface that. So you telling that story like like you want to stop.
So bad.
You don't know how to stop.
Yeah.
And the solution is to kill yourself.
Yeah.
I was right there. Yeah, I wanted to drive my car into the SunPass station.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah.
And then people that knew me that don't have the disease of addiction would just say, well, why don't you just stop? So easy.
Yeah.
The fuck you mean it's easy? Like, you really, it's easy? Like, no, this is not easy. This is one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you had this, that's powerful. You had, there's no coincidence. So the guy from the treatment center calls you down, calls you off the edge. You're in your car, you're crying. You get off the phone, and then what?
He told me, he was like, so basically told me what to do. He was like, you're going to go to your job. You're going to tell them that you need to go away for a while. You're going to go home. You're going to talk to your mom. You're going to book a flight, and you're going to come to Florida. And I was just like, okay. Okay. Like, I was so beaten down by my addiction that I was just like, honestly, anything. I will do anything.
All right.
I cannot live with myself anymore. Like I said, I was like, I want to stop so bad.
Right.
But I literally can't. I was so mad at myself, so confused. And then, I talked to my mom, and she was surprisingly really understanding.
That's awesome.
And because her dad was an alcoholic, and so she kind of like understands, like, she gets addiction, which was really great for me.
No, that's she came through.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Finally came through. Eventually she came around.
Oh yeah. Okay. She was super supportive, and now she's great. I love her so much.
She's team recovery mom.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah. All right. So you get on the flight, and you.
I get on the flight. High. I had like a night bender, obviously.
Right.
And I get here, and I'm exhausted. I'm beaten down. I'm disgustingly dirty. And I just kind of, I was like, I was to the point where I was like, I will take any suggestion. I will do anything. And it was like great, honestly. I was in detox and residential for like 22 days.
So you detoxed first, right?
Yeah, I had to.
For how many days?
Like 2-3 days.
So you went in, you went in, you got admitted, you went to detox for 3 days.
Yeah.
And then you're in the same facility, and then you went, for how many days were you in treatment for?
Like actual treatment?
Yeah.
I went to...
In that facility.
Oh. Yeah, it was like 23 days.
Okay.
Something like that. Because then I ended up going to PHP program, which was really great. I was there for like 5 weeks.
5 weeks, and so how many days a week did you have to do that?
It was every day.
Every day?
Yeah, okay. We lived in this little like motel looking thing.
Okay.
And yeah, they would take us grocery shopping, and
were you going to meetings at this point too when you did PHP?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so you were attending meetings.
Yeah, they would take us in the druggy buggy to meetings and stuff like that. So I was there for about 5 weeks working on my 4-step.
You were already working steps in PHP.
Oh yeah. When I went to res, that was when I started working on the steps.
Did you have a sponsor?
No.
Okay.
It was just like the way that
that's how they
did it there.
Okay, got it.
Which was really cool. My first 4-step was it was so long. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It took so long. I didn't get a sponsor until towards the end of PHP.
Okay.
I found my sponsor, and I love her so much. She's literally great.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah, we like text every day. I actually just recently read my 5th step again, to her like a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So like, that was really cool. That was really eye-opening.
Well, really quick, let's go backtrack. So after PHP, then you went to IOP?
Yeah.
Okay, and how long was that for?
3 months.
So you went to IOP?
I'm actually out of IOP this Monday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Right on.
Yeah.
And you live in a halfway house?
Yeah, I live in halfway. It's cool. I really enjoy the people there. I've been there for about 2 months now.
Yeah.
And then I started working at Crossroads, which is a really nice little recovery job, I think. I got really in tune with my higher power and stuff, which is Mother Nature.
Okay, so your higher power is Mother Nature.
Yeah.
And then you talked about meditation.
Oh yeah.
So what's that? What is that? What do those two things help you in your recovery to stay clean on a daily basis?
Yeah. So I actually I set alarms on my phone to remind me to pray in the morning and at night, because I'm so forgetful.
Mm-hmm.
And meditation is like, what I've learned is, you don't have to like sit there and be like,
Zen,
like and like listening to like some sort of music, or I mean, you can listen to music, but like I like will listen to fairy humming noises.
Okay. Yeah.
Like on YouTube, and
what does that do for you?
It kind of helps like slow down everything, and it makes it kind of forces you to be in the moment that you're in. And so like whatever emotion you're feeling, or like whatever your thoughts you're having, you kind of just let them come and go. And it's really good for grounding.
Right.
Especially like if you need to center yourself. That's something my sponsors taught me. And like it's good. Like it kind of gets you outside of yourself, because addicts are all about self.
Of course.
So it's great. I love it. I try to do it at least once a day.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And how many you go to CA meetings? How many times a week?
I go to CA like once a week on Thursdays, and I love that meeting. I try to go to like NA on Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
I have a house meeting every Tuesday. And then sometimes I'll like go to like AA meetings like on Wednesdays, Mondays, Fridays. There's like this like queer meeting on Fridays and Sundays that I've been to like 1 or 2 times that I really enjoy. It's a fun little meeting.
Yeah.
Everyone's very enthusiastic. CA is super enthusiastic as
Right.
well.
Yeah. No, I
Get
agree.
a little rambunctious.
You know, I have to say, like, you told me your story before the podcast a couple weeks ago, and listening to you now, you have such great awareness in early recovery, and I commend you on that because I didn't have that.
Thanks.
I was a fucking mess. Like, honest to God, I was a mess.
Yeah.
I was a mess. But like you're talking about grounding, I think I learned about grounding in year 4 of my recovery.
Really?
Yeah. So I think that, I really feel that it's amazing where you are for 4 months and what you've been through. And I really think that's awesome.
Thanks.
And it's a powerful story. You have a very powerful story in what you went through and how you turn it around. You should be happy for yourself, and you should give yourself a break and know that, you're a very powerful person.
Thanks.
And
Wow.
I'm really glad to meet you. And I think that like your journey is amazing, and you keep going in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Things are already turning for you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
It changes every day.
So if somebody is listening to this in early recovery, or they're in active addiction and they're kind of around your age, what would you tell them? What would you give them? Couple, like a sentence or two, what you feel you've learned so far and what's helped you.
What's helped me
Yeah.
is
Staying clean.
Yeah. Just say no.
Okay.
I learned that I had to get out of my own way and accept help. 'Cause a lot of the time I feel like we think we can do everything on our own.
Exactly.
And it's like, it's okay to let people help you.
Yeah, take the suggestions.
Yeah, take all the suggestions.
Most definitely.
Oh my God. Every time I try to get in my own way, it's like, it never works out. Obviously, it never works out. If you're an addict, just don't, you can't listen to your own head. You can't trust yourself.
Right.
At least not for a while.
Right. But it gets better.
It definitely gets better.
It gets better.
I was one of those people that thought, like, I literally was like, I am so hopeless. And I hear addicts say this all the time. Like, I don't think I'll ever get clean. I don't think I'll ever be able to, like, do this ever. And then you do it. I don't know how. By the grace of literally higher power. Just, like, give yourself a chance, I guess.
Okay.
And if you give yourself a chance, you can see, like, how much you really have to offer the world.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Devin, thank you very much for coming in and sharing your experience.
Thanks
strength,
for
and hope.
having me.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. If you like this video, we appreciate it. If you can leave a comment or like it, if you're watching it on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Like the video. If you know somebody that is struggling in active addiction, or if you're struggling in active addiction or you're struggling in recovery, you can reach out to me. You can email me at BAMN realrecoverytalk@gmail.com. Thanks again for joining in, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.